Hello, I'm Mensa Augustine. In this lesson, we're looking at set, the basics. So let's see what we do here. Now, what do you mean if we write square root of 9 from exponents? If you have not watched my video on exponents, check the description for the link to that video. This simply means 9 power half. Wow. And this 9 is nothing but 3 power 2, and it also has a power, so you multiply that power. So this gives 3 power 1, that is 2 times half is 1, and the answer is 3. Wow. What about if I take the square root of, let's say, 3? The square root of 3 is 3 power half. You see that it will still maintain the square root, either as the symbol or as the power half. This is square root of 3. This is also 3 power half, which is also the same as square root of 3. If you use calculator, you won't get a whole number. Say 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, but you get decimals. Let's use the calculator to check. If I punch square root of 3, I get 1.732 going. So, if I have square root of 3, I have to leave it as it is. So this is what we call the set. Wow. But if we look at the numbers, I've used the black markers to write. 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121. They are called square numbers or perfect squares because if you put them under the square root, you are going to get a whole number. That is a number, that is not a decimal number. For instance, square root of 121 is 11 in a very simple way. So, why are these necessary? Let's look at what we are going to do here. Let me take a square number, say 4, times a number that is not a square number, say 5. You see that 4 times 5 is 20. So, if I take the square root of 20, here, it is the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 5. And in fact, if we are multiplying two numbers under the square root, we just multiply the numbers together. This is from the laws of exponents. That is, if I have 4 under the square root times 5 under the square root, then you see that this is 4 power half times 5 power half. So this is 4 times 5 all power half. Because we have power half here and power half here. And the power half is the same as square root of 4 times 5. Wow, so that is why I've done this. So here the square root of 4 is 2. But 5 is not a perfect square. So we leave the 5 under the square root in a very simple way. So this 2 will multiply the coefficient, that is 1 here. So 2 times 1 will give us 2. So square root of 20 is 2 root 5. Wow. What about the square root of 48? Sure. 48 is 16 times 3. So this is square root of 16 times square root of 3. Square root of 16 is 4. So we write this one as 4 root 3. So it is good for you to memorize. Yes, if you want to memorize these perfect squares into your memory, or you have to commit the perfect squares into your memory if you are not using calculator in the exams. In fact, these are not all. We have a lot. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there are a lot of perfect squares, but I hope these will be used or these are mostly used. That is why I have them on the board. So if I'm an examiner and I want to give you a question, I will just take one of the perfect squares and multiply it by a number that is not a perfect square. Look, if I take 81, I will just multiply 81 by 5. So 81 by 5 is 405. So I will tell you to simplify square root of 405. Wow. So how would you simplify this? I use 81 to multiply 5. So here, this is the same as square root of 81 times square root of 5. But square root of 81 is 9. So I have 9 root 5. Somebody is asking, say, how would you know that the examiner used 81? That is why you have to learn some of these perfect squares, multiply them by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your spare time so that you'll be familiar with their multiples in a very simple way. You see that I used 48 here, which I've claimed because I know that 16 times 3 is 48. Wow, in a very simple way. I can use 4 times 11, which is 44. So if I take square root of 44, this is square root of 4 times square root of 11, which gives me 2 root 11 in a very simple way. But if you're using calculator and you point square root of 44, it will give you 2 root 11. But what about if you're not using calculator? Now let's check this one. If I have 5 square root of 72, wow. Now, somebody is also asking this question. Let me put root 48 here. You come back to it. But let's do with this first. 5 times square root of 72. I know that square root of 72 is 36 times 2. 36 times 2 will give me 72, right? In a very simple way. So this is 5 times square root of 36 times square root of 2. Wow. So here, this gives 5 times square root of 36 is 6 times square root of 2. So 5 times 6 is 30 root 2. Wow. You are not going to multiply this by what is under the square root. If we are multiplying, what is under the square root multiplies what is under the square root. And if there's a number multiplying, it just multiplies the coefficients of what is under the square root. So here, 5 times 6 is 30. And the coefficient here is 1. Wow, in a very simple way. Now, let's see. If I have 48, you see that 4 can divide 48. 4 times 12. So, square root of 48 can be written as square root of 4 times square root of 12, which is the same as 2 times square root of 12. But this 12, 4 can also divide it again. So this is 2 times square root of 4 times square root of 3. And this is 2 times 2 root 3. Because square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4 root 3. So at times, if you cannot use a bigger perfect square to divide and know a perfect square which is small, just use it and make sure that what remains, if there's a perfect square that can still divide it, you should divide it and come down in a very simple way. For instance, if I multiply 4 by 9, it's 36, right? So 36 times 2 gives 72. So have you seen? In a very simple way. So this 72 is 9 divided by 8. If I have not gone through this way, let us go through that way too and see. 9 divided by 8 is 72. So 5 root 72 is the same as 5 times root 9 times root 8. That gives 5 times root 9 is 3 times root 8. And this is 15 root 8. And it is 15 times root 8 is root 4 times root 2. Because 4 times 2 give us 8. And this will give me 15 times root 4 is 2 times root 2. And that gives 30 root 2. Wow. I hope you are enjoying the lesson. Please kindly like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments to enjoy more amazing lessons from Nkonta Papa. So you see how it is being done here in a very simple way. So you need to commit this into memory and at least look for 3 multiples or 3 to 5 multiples of each, right? So if I take, let's say, 225 times 2. Let's take 225 times 2. Wow. I'm going to point that from my calculator. 225 times 2 will somewhere be 450. So 1 divided by 10 root 450 will give me what? So this is 110 times root 225 times root 2. 100 divided by 10 times root 225 is 15 times root 2. And here, this gives 15 divided by 10 root 2. 1 times 15 times 1 is 15. And all divided by 10. Here, we can divide each by 5. So 5 will divide 15 3 times. 5 will divide 10 2 times. And we have this in a very simple way. Wow. Okay. Now, let us see. I'm going to do a quick multiplication on my calculator. Without using calculator, find the perfect square that I use. So this is 320. Square root of 320. What perfect square can divide this? What perfect square can divide this? Wow, leave that at the comment section and let me see if you are actually following. So here I use 64 times 5. So once I've used 64, 4 can also divide this. And I think at 16 can also divide 32, right? You see that 16 can divide this. 4 can divide 32. And 64 can divide 320. So if you want to use 16, you can use 16 and break it small. So let's use 16 and break it down small. But I use 64 times 5. So now, if we are using 16, we will have 16 times root 20. Because 16 times 2 is 32. So 16 times 20 will give us 320. Look at this. 16 times 2 is equal to 20. So 16 times 20 will give us, 32. Will give us 32. Then this 0 comes. Wow. Okay. So this is 4 root 20. Root 16 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Then we have 4. Wow. Then we have 4 times root 4 times root 5. Because root 4 times root 5 gives you root 20. So this is 4 times 2 times root 5. 4 times 2 is 8 root 5. So you see that root 64 is 8. So if I had used root 64 times root 5, then this would be 8 root 5 in a very simple way. Wow, that's amazing. So now I hope you've understood this to maximum. Now, let's see. Once we've understood it, we don't need to be doing it times. So let's see this. Let's say that I have 3 square root of 96. Wow. And 96, I think it's 49 times 2. 49 times 2. Wow, it's 98 rather. 98. Yes, 49 times 2 is 98. So, this is the same as 3 Square root of 49 times 2. Then this gives 3. If you don't want to use this, use this. Root 49 is 7. Then root 2 will still remain here. Wow. If you want to use this procedure, you go. If you want to use the times, you go. So this gives 21 root 40. 21 root 2. Or it is 3 times root 49 times root 2. This is 3 times 7 times root 2, and that gives 21 root 2. Wow. So please commit these into memory and at least learn 2 or 3 multiples of them. For instance, if you take let's say 9 times 2 is 18. 9 to 18, 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 4 is 36. And if you multiply 2 perfect squares, the result will be a perfect square. Wow. If you multiply 2 perfect squares, the result will be a perfect square. So that is that. Let's say 4 times 16, it will give us 64. 100 times 4, it will give us 400. Wow. So let's see that one. Check if what I've said is actually true. Multiply 100 by 144 and see if the result is a perfect square. Let's do that one here. 100 times 144. If we take square root of this, 100 times 144. If we take square root of the answer, we get 120. Okay. So go on checking until you find a counter example. So that the only way to disprove a mathematical statement is to find a counter example. I've checked that 100 times 44 gives a number that is a perfect square. So check until you find a perfect square times a perfect square. That will not give a perfect square. Then you come and comment at the comment section that so what you said is actually not true. Okay, so you see that I know multiples of 9. 9 times 2, 80. 9 times 3, 27. 9 times 4, 36. 9 times 5, 45. So if you give me square root of 45, if you give me square root of 27, if you give me square root of 80, I know that I'm going to break this one as root 9 times root 5. This one as root 9 times root 3. And this one as root 9 times root 2. This gives 3 root 2. This gives 3 root 3, and this gives 3 root 5. So learn this and it will help you. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments.